Seth Rollins stood frozen in shock, his heart pounding, his mind refusing to believe what his eyes were showing him. For years, he had fought battles inside the squared circle, overcoming injuries, betrayals, and rivalries that pushed him to the brink of insanity. But nothing in his career, or even his personal life, could have prepared him for this moment. Right in front of him, under the dim backstage lighting after an intense Monday Night Raw, he saw the unthinkable Becky Lynch, the love of his life, the mother of his child, locked in a shocking, passionate kiss with none other than CM Punk. This wasn't just betrayal, it was humiliation of the highest order. The entire foundation of Seth Rollins' world crumbled instantly. Fans had always seen him as the visionary, a man who kept pushing boundaries, creating legacies, and standing tall through adversity. But this was different. This wasn't about titles or rivalries, this was about trust, family, and respect. The betrayal wasn't just personal, it was public, with whispers already spreading like wildfire among the WWE roster. Seth's face turned red with a mixture of rage and heartbreak. He stormed into the scene, his voice breaking as he shouted, "What the hell is this?" Becky jumped back instantly, her expression caught between guilt and fear. CM Punk, ever the smug provocateur, just smirked, as if he enjoyed watching Rollins' entire life unravel before his very eyes. "Calm down, Seth," Punk said, his tone dripping with arrogance. "It's not what you think," but the words sounded hollow. Everyone in the locker room who happened to be near froze in stunned silence, knowing they were witnessing history not scripted, not kayfabe, real, raw pain. Becky tried to speak, tears already welling in her eyes. "Seth, please, I can explain." Rollins roared, his voice echoing through the hallway. "Explain how the woman I trusted with everything, the woman I thought had my back, is standing here kissing the one man I swore I'd never tolerate." This wasn't just betrayal between lovers. This was the ultimate insult. Seth Rollins and CM Punk had a long, complicated history. Punk, the self-proclaimed best in the world, had always looked down on Seth during his Shield days, dismissing him as nothing more than a puppet of WWE management. Their rivalry wasn't just professional, it was personal, filled with disdain, jealousy, and resentment. And now, to see Becky align herself in the most intimate way possible with Punk, shattered Rollins' pride. The news spread fast. By the next morning, fans across social media were in absolute chaos. Hashtags like hashtag Becky betrays Seth and hashtag Punk homewrecker trend worldwide. Fans argued, debated, and speculated on what could have led to this shocking moment. Was this a publicity stunt? Was it part of a new storyline? Or was it, terrifyingly, real? WWE insiders confirmed that Seth was devastated. He refused to speak to Becky privately, instead choosing to meet with lawyers immediately. By Wednesday, bombshell news dropped: Seth Rollins had officially filed for divorce. Documents leaked online showed the seriousness of the situation. Rollins wasn't bluffing, he wanted out. Becky Lynch, once celebrated as the man, now faced a tidal wave of backlash. Fans flooded her social media with comments ranging from disappointment to outright disgust. "You broke the heart of the man who always stood by you," one fan posted. "How could you do this to Seth and your daughter?" Others turned their anger toward CM Punk, calling him toxic, manipulative, and a snake who thrives on destroying lives. But behind closed doors, the story grew even darker. Seth reportedly collapsed emotionally after leaving the courthouse, confiding in close friends that he felt worthless and utterly betrayed. He wasn't just losing a wife, he felt like he was losing his identity, his family, his purpose. Friends said they had never seen him so broken, not even after his worst injuries. For the first time in his career, Seth Rollins wasn't the visionary. He was just a man crushed by betrayal. Meanwhile, Becky was left torn. Reports suggest she tried reaching out to Seth countless times, begging for forgiveness, explaining that the kiss with Punk was a mistake, a moment of weakness after months of strain in their relationship. But Seth wasn't having it. To him, there was no excuse. Trust, once broken, could never be repaired. CM Punk, on the other hand, thrived in the chaos. In true Punk fashion, he fueled the fire with cryptic posts on social media. A photo of him with a smirk captioned, "Some people just can't handle the truth," sent the internet into meltdown. Was he admitting to stealing Becky away? Was he mocking Seth? Or was he playing mind games with the entire WWE universe? Whatever his intent, he had succeeded in igniting one of the most explosive scandals in wrestling history. The WWE locker room was buzzing with chaos. Superstars whispered in hushed tones, eyes darting toward Seth Rollins every time he walked by. Some felt sympathy, others were stunned, and a few like CM Punk himself wore the scandal as a badge of honor. What shocked everyone wasn't just that Becky had been caught in a compromising moment with Punk, it was the audacity of Punk to flaunt it like a trophy. Backstage sources claimed Seth Rollins had completely isolated himself. He showed up at arenas with his hood pulled low, avoiding eye contact with everyone. He wasn't the loud, confident visionary the world had come to know. He was broken. His pain was raw, and it showed in his matches. Every stomp he delivered, every punch, every scream in the ring felt like an outpouring of his heartbreak. Meanwhile, Becky Lynch, who once walked through hallways with her head high and confidence radiating from her presence, now moved like a shadow of herself. WWE staff revealed she spent most of her time behind closed doors, crying or silently rehearsing, unable to face the stares of her peers. She wasn't the man anymore, she was the woman who had shattered the heart of one of the most respected wrestlers in the business. But if Becky was drowning in guilt, Punk was swimming in arrogance. Reports said Punk walked around backstage smirking, even making snide comments under his breath. One account claimed he looked Seth dead in the eye one night and said, "Guess I really am the best in the world, huh?" It was the verbal knife twist that drove Rollins even deeper into rage. Fans, meanwhile, had split into warring factions. On Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, people debated endlessly. Some defended Becky, saying relationships are complicated and maybe Seth had driven her into Punk's arms. Others unleashed absolute venom at Punk, calling him a homewrecker and the biggest hypocrite alive for tearing apart a family after all his holier-than-thou speeches about loyalty and respect. Hashtags like #Justice for Seth and #Punk out of WWE began trending, with petitions even popping up online demanding WWE suspend CM Punk for crossing the line. Fans argued this wasn't just entertainment anymore, this was real-life devastation. Triple H reportedly held emergency meetings with creative and PR teams. The scandal had bled too far outside the ring, and now WWE was being forced to choose, use the drama as a storyline or shut it down before it destroyed their public image. One insider leaked that Hunter himself sat down with Seth, asking if he'd be willing to channel the pain into business. Seth allegedly slammed the table and told him, "This isn't business, Paul. This is my life." But the world of wrestling thrives on blurred lines. And while Seth wanted nothing to do with it, WWE couldn't ignore the frenzy. The cameras, the media, the ratings, all of it skyrocketed. Every time Becky walked to the ring, fans showered her with deafening boos. Every time Punk appeared, arenas erupted with chants of "homewrecker" and "Seth's better." Even commentators subtly leaned into the scandal, making offhand remarks that only fueled speculation further. And through it all, Seth Rollins couldn't escape the nightmare. His family life was crumbling. Court documents from the divorce proceedings leaked, showing heated battles over custody of their daughter. Seth broke down during one interview with close friends, confessing that the hardest part wasn't losing Becky, but imagining Punk near his little girl. "That man isn't stepping near my family," Seth was quoted as saying. Yet Punk, in his usual fashion, didn't stop. On one SmackDown, he grabbed a microphone mid-promo and said, "The difference between me and Rollins? When I kiss someone, it's because they actually want it." The crowd gasped, Becky froze, and Seth, watching from backstage, nearly tore the monitor apart in fury. The scandal now had layers: professional humiliation, personal heartbreak, family drama, and the growing sense that CM Punk wasn't just trying to ruin Seth Rollins' marriage, he was trying to destroy him entirely. Behind the scenes, WWE legends weighed in. Ric Flair called it "the most disrespectful thing I've seen in this business in decades." Mick Foley admitted he was heartbroken for Seth and said Punk had crossed a line no true professional should ever cross. Even Roman Reigns, who had his own history with both men, reportedly told Seth privately, "Brother, you don't deserve this. You deserve peace." But peace was nowhere to be found. The divorce filing was real, the betrayal undeniable, and the storm was only just beginning. The tension backstage reached a boiling point. Everyone knew it was only a matter of time before words turned into fists. And that moment came faster than anyone expected. According to multiple witnesses, Seth Rollins confronted CM Punk in the parking lot after Raw one night. Seth reportedly lunged at Punk, screaming, "You ruined my family." The two exchanged blows before producers and security rushed in to separate them. One insider described it as pure rage. "This wasn't scripted, this wasn't for show." Seth wanted to tear Punk apart. Fans speculated for days about leaked cell phone footage showing a blurry scuffle, claiming it was Rollins and Punk. WWE tried to suppress the video, but it spread like wildfire online, fueling even more outrage. The narrative was clear: this wasn't just a storyline, this was a real-life implosion spilling into the public eye. Meanwhile, legal documents from Seth and Becky's divorce became a media circus. TMZ, wrestling dirt sheets, and mainstream outlets alike feasted on every update. The most shocking detail? Seth's legal team filed for exclusive custody of their daughter, citing Becky's unstable behavior and reckless involvement with Punk. That line alone sent fans into a frenzy, with hashtags like #ProtectTheBaby and #BeckyFailedSeth blowing up overnight. Becky, for her part, tried to keep a brave face in the ring, but the boos followed her everywhere. She couldn't cut a promo without fans chanting CM Punk in mocking tones. The WWE Universe, once in love with the man, now saw her as the woman who betrayed one of their most beloved superstars. Even commentators awkwardly struggled, their voices faltering as they tried to call her matches while ignoring the elephant in the room. Triple H faced the toughest decision of his career. Should he lean into the scandal, turning it into the most shocking storyline in WWE history? Or should he protect his performers and pull the plug on the toxic chaos consuming them? Reports claimed Hunter had late-night meetings with lawyers, PR teams, and even Vince McMahon himself because this scandal was bleeding money. Ratings were soaring, but at what cost? Then came the moment that turned everything on its head. During a contract signing segment for a completely unrelated storyline, CM Punk took the mic and went off script. Staring directly into the camera, he said, "Some people can't handle the truth. Some people don't want the world to know that their wives prefer the best in the world." Maybe that's why Seth is filing papers, because deep down, he knows he can't measure up. The arena erupted in gasps and boos. Becky froze beside him, her face turning pale. Seth, watching from backstage, reportedly stormed out of the arena before the segment even ended. It was the ultimate humiliation, a private tragedy being turned into public mockery, live on WWE television. After that night, things spiraled. Sponsors began calling WWE headquarters, concerned about the inappropriate direction of their programming. Parents groups demanded Punk be disciplined. And Seth? He refused to appear on Raw the following week, no showing for the first time in years. WWE was scrambling, but fans were hooked. Social media was a battlefield, with countless debates raging. Was Punk out of line, or was he simply speaking facts? Was Becky a victim of love gone wrong, or the villain in the biggest betrayal of the decade? And most importantly, could Seth ever recover from the humiliation? Behind the curtain, wrestlers were picking sides. Kevin Owens reportedly told Seth he had his back no matter what, while others whispered that Punk had crossed lines that could never be uncrossed. Some even speculated that WWE higher UPS might have to suspend Punk to keep the peace or risk an all-out locker room mutiny. The breaking point came when Seth returned the following week, storming into the ring unannounced during Punk's promo. His face was red with rage, his voice shaking as he screamed, "You destroyed my life, and now I'm going to destroy you." The two brawled so violently that referees, producers, and even other wrestlers had to jump in to separate them. And for the first time in years, WWE officials admitted they had lost control of their own show. The scandal was no longer about a kiss. It wasn't even about Becky anymore. It had become a war between Seth Rollins and CM Punk, one fueled by betrayal, humiliation, and a thirst for revenge that could only end in absolute destruction.